Hi, welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we have been studying from this lesson right here, God's mission, my mission. This week we're studying from lesson number 10, which has the title, Mission to the Unreached, Part 1, and today is Tuesday's lesson, which has the title, Paul and the Unknown God. Today's lesson is incredible because it covers a genius strategy that Paul used in order to connect with the Athenian people. It revolves around Acts chapter 17, verse 22 and 23, that say this. Then Paul stood in the midst of the Areopagus and said, Men of Athens, I perceive that in all things you are very religious. For as I was passing through and considering the objects of your worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God. I want you to understand a few things that are happening here. This is what Paul does in order to connect with these people. It's mentioned in the second paragraph of today's lesson. It starts by quoting the verse that we just read, People of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. And it says, Paul was complimenting pagans. Their religion was misguided in every way, and yet Paul complimented their devotion. Why was Paul doing that? Simple, because he was looking for common ground. He was complimenting the most praiseworthy part of their religion, which was what? They were devoted. I mean, it's better for you to be devoted to something than not devoted to something, right? So here he's complimenting, and I understand. It depends on what you're being devoted to. But here they were devoted to their religion, and Paul is complimenting that aspect of their livelihood. And then it goes on to say this. Paul continued, As I walked around and looked carefully at your objects of worship, look at this. By describing his own study of the Athenian religion, Paul communicated a respectful attitude toward the people. He was not rushing in as a self-proclaimed expert with all the answers for how the people needed to change. In reality, he was, in fact, an expert and did, in fact, have the answers that these people needed. But he did not present himself that way, or else he would have been rejected outright. Instead, he was seen as someone who cared for the people and desired their good. Look, there have been many moments in my experience as a pastor, as someone who does Bible studies with people. I love doing Bible studies with people, where I'm interacting with people who believe that they know more than me regarding a specific subject of the Bible or of religion. Not that I'm tooting my own horn here or anything, but this is what I do for a living. This is what I've studied for years. And so, again, there are several occasions where I'm dealing with people, talking with people, just having dialogues with people, and where I'm hearing something that I already know very well, or I am hearing something that I know for a fact is not correct. It's not factually right, but I am very careful not to come across as a know-it-all. I'm very careful not to be correcting them all the time, especially in the beginning of our conversation. Friends, there have been moments where I've listened for the entirety of, 4 or 5 meetings just so that they can understand that I am available to hear them, to learn from them, to grow with them. And I've seen that, after those moments, they are very well inclined to listen to me, to hear what I have to share. You see, sometimes we only want to give. We want to give and give and give. And at that point, people won't respect what we have to say because we haven't listened to them. We haven't allowed them to share as well. I've learned that if I want someone to listen to me, I need to be able to listen to them as well. And so here, Paul is demonstrating to these Athenian philosophers that he had listened to them, that he had walked around in their town, that he was respectful of them. After all, that's what he's revealing here in his speech to them. Look at what the lesson has to say about that. Commenting on the inscription to the unknown God, Paul took advantage of what could be seen as common ground. They believed in God, many actually, which was a great start. Some people back then didn't believe, and could open the way to deeper conversation. He did not scoff at the negative idea of an altar to an unknown God. Instead, he appreciated and admired a people who cared enough about spiritual things to go to the effort and expense of worshiping something they didn't even know, just in case they were missing something. Isn't this incredible? After all, this is such a honestly weird way of going around religion, worshiping something that you don't even know exists. But Paul, he doesn't make fun of them. He doesn't deride or mock them. He actually praises them for their desire to be diligent in their worship. And that's where he finds common ground. Then the lesson goes on, were they misguided? Of course, but that could be addressed. What was important in the beginning was that they were devout in what they did understand. That, Paul recognized, was material the Holy Spirit could work with. Paul had found a talking point that would pique their interest. Friends, the Holy Spirit can work with anything, with anyone. Here in this story, we see that this is where they begin, but at the end, some people do believe. They believe after Paul preaches. And that's what's important, to understand that we are just conduits. We are vessels. We're not meant to compromise with other beliefs. We're not meant to compromise when it comes to our values and our morals, but we are called to be comprehensive, to be patient with the Holy Spirit, working with people who are not at the same place that we are. Look at what the closing question of today's lesson brings up. What bridges and points of contact can you think of that would open opportunities for deeper conversation with others with whom you come in contact? I want you to think about that. Contemplate on what could be these bridges. I'm sure that the Lord will reveal some to you. Please remember to comment down below with any questions or any comments. I'd love to interact with you. Also, remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to our videos. We release one every day, and I hope to see you again here tomorrow for another Sabbath School Daily.